For more on this, we now speak to Romeo, or rather Elton Romeo Hart, who is an attorney at the UJ Law Clinics, and he joins us via our video link. Romeo, thank you so much for joining us this evening here on SABC News. I mean, I think our reporter put it in a better way, in one way that many of us would look at this moment in history. It is a historic moment to have somebody from a Chapter 9 institution to be removed. One would ask, did we ever think we'd get to this point where somebody from the Public Protector's Office would be removed?
I don't think in our wildest imagination that we would get to a point where you actually have to remove a Chapter 9 institution. And for our democracy, our constitution, that's actually a big blow. Yes, our constitution is written in a good way to say that if a person is found guilty of one of the charges or the grounds like misconduct, incompetence, and bad behavior, gross misconduct, he can be removed. But I mean, for our constitution, because then it means, just for me, at the beginning, when we elected this person to take office, we did not do proper constitutional scrutiny, check into the person's fitness to hold that office in the beginning. So we failed that person that we appointed as a public protector from the get-go when we appointed that person. So I think there already, it's also an introspection that we as South Africans and the people that is entrusted with that power, being that commission that sits and appoints these people to actually interview them, and eventually then the president who's making the call and who is supposed to have the interests of South Africa at heart, they failed us already back then to get to this unsavory point where we had to actually use Parliament and Parliament's committees to actually investigate and then make a finding to say that this person is not fit to hold office of public protector.
What would you say was at the center of this removal of, the former public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane? And I ask this because, during her tenure, she was always closely linked to the politics of the ANC. It was the Zuma camp versus, the Ramaphosa camp. Do you think that, somehow this was really what was at the center of the problems which clouded the public protector's office, the entanglement of the world of politics in South Africa?
No, indeed so. And unfortunately, the position of our Chapter 9 institutions is of this nature that the president of the time appoints the head of a Chapter 9 institution. So that already, I think that's where our constitution somehow needs to be changed, so that it should not be placed in the hands of the president to decide who will be the head of a Chapter 9 institution. It should be maybe the parliament needs to decide as to who will be that person, and that person should be appointed, and then the president has the prerogative on the instruction of parliament to decide to remove. But now you give the president so much power to decide who that person is, and if that person is not, if one can use the words loosely, dancing to the president's tune, he or she as the president can then remove that person overnight. So that is the danger, and then we cannot say that these Chapter 9 institutions has freedom to really protect our constitution. And that's, for me, in essence, where we should be looking at amending our constitution to make sure that we can really talk about a democratic society when these Chapter 9 institutions do their work.
And, coming to the inquiry itself into the former public protector's fitness to hold office, I mean, there was so much drama surrounding that, that inquiry. So much happened. What are your thoughts on the overall process of us getting to the point where she was removed in the end?
No, for me, the drama that came with it, obviously we know that the ANC holds a 2/3 majority in the smaller committees as well, because of the numbers that they have in the national. So obviously, if there is a caucus by the ANC and they are against a person for whatever reason, that person will be removed. Do you like it or not? Because they do have the numbers. And the drama that unfolded, for me, it was easy. We could have avoided that, because Janki forced to be the chairperson of that
Yeah.
committee. And I mean, there's so many other capable lawyers within the ANC that could have chaired that committee to say, okay, you say Janki is biased, so we put another person here that is also, that has a legal background, that understands how chairing of a process of the 194 inquiries would and should be conducted. He has good legal knowledge and legal background, and then he can proceed. And even for me, the DA actually putting MP Mazoni's husband in that committee, the DA should also just have sent it somebody else. We know they can say that we don't talk about these things. They do talk about it outside of the committee. It's just human. You will talk to your wife about something, your husband about something, although you might not say it in the open. So for me, they could have avoided all that shenanigans and the backfighting and stuff and all those ugly things that we saw unfolding in that committee by just saying, okay, let's just make sure, it's not bowing to all her requests and stuff, but to just make sure that South Africa get what South Africa deserves, and not about political weightlifting to say you will push and I will push back harder. And that's what you saw in that committees.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you, when it comes to the removal of the public protector, do you think it was in good faith?
I think for me, there was a little bit of politicking in there, and I don't think it was absolutely good faith, because even in a court of law, some judges get decisions taken on appeal, and on appeal the decision is taken against you. She had like 4 reports that they sort of said it was not completely compiled correctly. Yes, she's the head of the institution, but she works with a number of people in that office. So if we say we're removing her, then we should have removed some of the investigators that was also pivotal in that investigating of, like Vrede Derry, the CIX report, the CR17 campaign, all those people that was also senior investigators and senior advisors in compiling those reports. They should have also been removed. So for me, I see a little bit of politicking in there, and it wasn't good for the country. And obviously judges make mistakes, then they get overturned on appeal. So this is also a human. She holds a position where you must make tough and hard decisions, because it's against government, it's against powerful individuals, and sometimes you might get it right, sometimes you might get it wrong, and that's the nature of the beast. And I think that they could have dealt, and the main thing for me is the amount of money we spend on this Section 194 inquiry. Even if we gave her a gratuity bonus and we let her go out her term, it would have cost the taxpayer at least 180 million rand less than what we've spent on this committee. So mathematics play, it was not a good investment in removing the public protector. Not that I'm saying she was competent or she wasn't incompetent, but I'm saying the maths did not make sense. They do it in the last 7-8 months of her term. Doesn't add up.
What can we learn from the removal of this public protector during this tenure?
The removal lesson, or the lesson from this removal, is that we need to make sure when that commission or inquiry sits to interview the candidates that apply for the position, that process must be more stringent. We need to really do proper background checks to see, is this person going to be at the beck and call of the president? Is this person that person that will stand their ground, be it male or female, to stand their ground to say, Mr. President, I'm not in agreement with what you're doing, and not be afraid to make adverse findings against political leaders, political heads, government officials? That process should be more stringent, in to say that we need to get people that has the Constitution at heart and South Africa first. Not that dummies, not worried about a job, but to make sure that they serve the country without fear or favor. Because when they sit there, they say they will serve the country, but when you see halfway through the term, they dance to a tune of a president or political parties or political leaders, and then that does not reflect what the Constitution say they must do.